Hello and welcome to this video on DAO. In this video, we are going to understand what is DAO, why DAO, and how to implement DAO in Java applications. So let us begin with what is DAO. So DAO, the name itself suggests that it's a data access object. It is a design pattern which is used for implementing applications. Now, DAO is not only used into one specific application, but a variety of applications are going to be uh, using this DAO design pattern. So let me explain you that with the architecture. So each of your applications will have database. So I'm representing the database part here, and then we have our application. So in the application, whenever we want to interact with the database, we will write that code into a separate class, a separate layer. We will call it as a DAO. Okay, so let me just give the name here as DAO. That stands for database access object. So now DAO will interact with your database. Any operation that involves database will be placed in this layer. Okay, so how to implement that, we'll discuss that in the later part of this video. So any database transaction will do that in the DAO layer. So then other layers also your application may or may not have, like a service layer, which is used for writing your business logic. Any business logic, some uh, processing on the data, you can do that in the service layer. Let me again uh, give the name to it as a service layer. Okay, and then you will also have other layers like a controller layer where your request is received and it's going to pass on that request to your server, or that request will be served by using different uh, layers like service. So it's a controller layer. Right, so let me just, okay, and then I have this. So when the request is received, okay, to perform something, for example, you want to add a new user into your database. So that request is received in the controller. Then controller passes that request to your service. So let us say, for example, you have received that user object, and that now you want to save it into the database. Before saving the data into the database, you might want to validate that user, whether user is a valid user or not, whether it is already existing or not. So that kind of operation you can perform in the service layer, and then after performing those operations, you can pass on that user object to the DAO layer, and that DAO layer will push that data into your database tables, right? So same way, you want to receive something, get the data, and then you want to process that data. So for example, you are receiving a list of products and you want to give some discounts basis dates. So that kind of logic you can put into service layer, and then that controller will pass that data back to the caller. Now that caller can be your core Java tester class, that can be a servlet or a JSP or a Angular application, so like that. So your first request comes to your, I mean, any request comes to the controller, and from there it goes to the different layers. So now the thing is, why do we need a DAO is because, say that it's a clear separation between your business logic and the database logic and the controller activities here. Any database specific code that goes into DAO, so that you can reuse that code. So if you may have 10 different services and you want to fetch the products, so you will not write that code 10 times in those 10 different services. Instead, you will have that DAO layer or that DAO class that will give you the data. So from whenever you need list of products, you just call that DAO class and get the list of products. So that way it is going to be a clear separation and it is going to provide you the reusability. Plus you can also modify your code at your will, so you don't have to change much in your application when your database configuration is going to be changed. So earlier you were using MySQL and now you are changing it to Oracle or MongoDB. So that time you just have to go to that DAO layer and make the changes. Unlike if you write that code all over the place, you'll have to change that configuration, the database configuration in all of your classes. So DAO will provide clear separation plus reusability, and you can easily maintain your application. So now we understood what is DAO and why DAO. Now let's go and implement DAO into our core Java application. So I will create a core Java application into my Eclipse. Let me show you it, show that here. So I'm going to do example and I'm going to create this. I'm using the latest version of Java, hence it is asking me to create that module info.java file. If you're using any Java version lesser than 1.8, it will not ask you for module info Java. So because I need the database dependencies like MySQL driver, because I'm using MySQL database, I will need to download that MySQL jar file. So instead of manually downloading, we'll get this done through Maven. So what I'll do here, I will convert this project into a Maven project so that I can add the Maven dependency for MySQL connector. So now it has created. So let me now add the MySQL dependency. MySQL Maven dependency from Maven repository. I'm going to get this 8.0.29. So this is the dependency. I'll copy and paste it into my, should be in the dependencies section of that form.xml. So Maven is useful for managing your dependencies. You don't have to manually download your dependencies and save that into your application. So it is downloading the dependency. All right, so it has downloaded that those dependencies. Here you can see MySQL connector Java 8.0.29, and what I'll do now, let me just explain what is the application that we are trying to create here. So I'm going to create an employee management system, so in which so we will have our database. Okay, and then I'm going to create a DAO called as employee DAO, right? And this employee DAO will interact with your database, and I will have employee service, okay, that will interact with DAO and your controller. So you might not have controller in this core Java application, so I will directly create my tester class, and the tester will call my service and get these services. So let me just name them. So here is my tester, which will be a menu driven application or employee management system, and then here it's going to be my service, employee service. and then here I'm going to add employee stuff. And there's going to be my database. We'll create a table also for employees. This is how you will create this application having surveys, having DAO and a tester class. So we'll try and implement this application in the next video. So that's all I have in this video for you. Thank you so much for watching, and then we'll see you in the next video.